On the 13th of June 2023, Rockstar committed Grand Theft Auto of their own by removing a total of 196 vehicles from GTA Online's in-game websites, meaning they were no longer able to be purchased. 63 of those removed vehicles are still available in traffic to steal and store in your garages for free, if you can find them. 5 of those removed vehicles are still available as somewhat special spawns under the right conditions, again able to be stolen and stored for free. One of those removed vehicles was returned to the in-game websites permanently after 2 months to coincide with the release of a new game mode. That leaves 126 vehicles, including 18 supercars, 31 sports cars, and 24 sports classics, which actually accounts for nearly 60% of the entire normal raceable cars in that class, completely unavailable to buy unless Rockstar put them up for sale in the 5 to 10 rotating dealership spots that they use to cycle through these cars. And over the last year, I've been keeping track of which of those 126 vehicles have been made available, how many times they've been made available, and which cars still to this day haven't been put up for sale. On the 1-year anniversary of Rockstar's own heist on their player base, let's take a look at some stats, shall we? This video is brought to you by Broofy.com/support. Head to that link for all sorts of information on how you can support my channel, from links for direct support to referral codes, and even an article on things you can do to help your favourite creators. Now before we start, I should quickly mention the Los Santos car meet, since that has been used extensively over the last year to get cars that are otherwise unavailable. In here you can buy copies of cars from other players, negating the need to get them directly from the in-game websites. However, this requires finding someone who actually owns the car, which in my experience, even with my community, isn't always the easiest thing to do for some of the more obscure vehicles, and meeting up together in real time to get access. It's a lot of needless steps and time in comparison to just clicking a few buttons on the in-game websites. So for the purposes of this analysis, I'll be ignoring this aspect, instead assuming that you're either on your own or can't find people with the cars that you want. Now, in the early days of this, cars would pop up in multiple places, such as the Diamond Casino podium vehicle, but a pattern emerged over the last few months where not all of the available places are used to give access to these cars. It's actually quite rare now that the Lucky Wheel podium in the casino, or the prize ride car in the LS car meet, aren't cars that can already be bought. The same is true of the 2 spots in the Luxury Autos showroom, which generally cycle between newer cars from the latest DLC. So already those are 4 spots each week that don't offer any removed cars up for sale. That leaves the 3 car meet test ride spots, which usually house sports and supercars, and the 5 spots in Simeon's dealership where vehicles from all of the classes tend to find themselves. Even if Rockstar were perfect and cycled through these 8 spots every week with every car without repeats, it would still take 4 months for everything to cycle through and see a car again. But Rockstar very much haven't been perfect, and that's evident by the fact that over the last year since their removal, some cars have been made available 5 times, while others still haven't been made available at all. Over the last year, 3 cars have been made available on 5 separate occasions, for a total of 35 days being purchasable. Now, when you put it like that, it kinda sounds ridiculous that even the most frequent cars have only been made available to purchase for 35 days out of 365. Nevertheless, those 3 cars are the Infernus from the Supers class, the 770 from the Sports class, and the Swinger from the Sports Classics class, with the Infernus being the first car to be made available 3, 4 and 5 times respectively. In that same time frame, 4 vehicles still haven't popped up in any of the buyable locations at all. Those are the Shafter LWB Armoured Sedan, the Baller LE Armoured SUV, and Damon and Faggio Sport motorcycles. The Baller and Shafter were especially difficult for me to find to buy from even my sizable community when I needed them for the lap time and top speed retesting videos. Even if these vehicles are made available to purchase on the Thursday that this video is due to go live, which coincides with the 1-year anniversary of the removals in 2023, that will still have been a full year of them being unavailable, but as of the time of recording this, they haven't been made available at all. However, that number of vehicles was actually much larger a few months ago, as it seems Rockstar realised that the list of vehicles that hadn't been made available at all since their removal was still quite large, and they started including at least one previously unavailable vehicle in each event week, as you can see from this chart, which I'll be using extensively in this video to show how all of this has come about. The darkest green bar here represents a vehicle that has become available for the first time since it was removed, and you can see that in almost every event week for the last 3 months, there's at least one of these dark green bars showcasing a car that's been made available for the first time. When the chart is organised by the first time a vehicle was made available, you can see how there's a bit of a lull in the middle where cars were probably forgotten about before seeing a more consistent release for those forgotten cars more recently. However, even with that in mind, 30 vehicles have only been made available to purchase one time in the last year, or to put it another way, 7 days out of 365. 38 vehicles have been made available 2 times, with 43 times and 11 4 times, with the aforementioned 3 vehicles being made available 5 times. In a perfect world, everything would have been available 3 times each at this stage, but clearly there's no real pattern or element of making sure everything is made available fairly in the decision making for these event weeks. We even get weeks where most of the spots that are available to make cars purchasable, such as the test track or the dealership, are actually taken up by cars that you can buy on the websites anyway. Now, the longest amount of time between a car first becoming available since its removal stands at 352 days with the Serrano, which was made available in one of the most recent event weeks to be included in these stats. Some other cars that waited a long time to first appear were the Rapid GT Cabrio and Massacro race car at 345 days each. All iconic cars that were unavailable for nearly a year. Keep in mind that if Rockstar cycled through the cars properly, every car would be unavailable for a maximum of 110 days. Instead, we have some that are put up for sale again a mere 21 days after being made available previously, like with the Comet SR, and others like the Swinger, which was actually included in consecutive event weeks to have a 0-day difference between its availability. Those swings simply shouldn't happen. For vehicles that have been purchasable once so far, the July 4th vehicles of the Liberator and Sovereign have been waiting since 2023's Independence Day to be made buyable for a second time. But after that stands the Akuma, which was made available 30 days after all cars were removed, but not once since. For vehicles that have been made available 2 times, the longest gap between their availabilities goes to the Hakucho at 322 days, while the longest gap between cars available 3 times was 231 days between the XA21's second and third time of being available. The XA21, along with the Feltzer and Comet SR, are the only vehicles that have been available 3 or more times that have had gaps of over 200 days between some of their availability weeks, with the Comet SR especially experiencing both ends of the availability spectrum. The Infernus, with its 5 times of being made available, has an average unavailability period of just 59 days, with a maximum of 84 days and a minimum of 23. Remember that the average is 110 days if every car was treated equally. Now, I love the Infernus as much as the next guy, but it does seem a little unfair that it's available on average every 2 months, while the iconic Massacro race car and classic Serrano had nearly a year of unavailability. Ultimately though, it's all just bullshit. I mean, the whole analysis shouldn't have to happen in the first place. I shouldn't have to monitor which cars are available to buy every week to keep track of what never comes up. I shouldn't have to give criticism on the lack of use of some of the slots available to make cars purchasable. None of this should be a thing. These cars should never have been removed from the in-game sites in the first place. Better filtering on the websites, or categorizing by in-game class rather than spurious 2-door or 4-door, or basically doing any number of improvements to find cars to buy will always be a much better option than removing players' ability to buy them outright. The only reasonable removals I would have been able to understand were the 63 cars that can be found in traffic and stored. Even then, that isn't really necessary if there's proper organisation of the in-game websites, but certainly nothing else beyond that is acceptable. But we all know the real reason it was done. they didn't remove the lesser used cars, as they claimed, they removed the cheaper to buy cars. As we know, over time the price of vehicles in GTA has only increased, and a lot of the removed vehicles were older vehicles which had older and cheaper pricing, only leaving the newer, more expensive vehicles available all the time in most cases. I really hope this isn't something that continues, but given we're a year in without any reversions, I fear it will, and especially so for GTA 6, forcing you to grind to a silly amount or buy shark cards in order to get the car that you need within 1 week before it disappears for who knows how long. It will be much different when that's baked in from the start, where there isn't a whole community who already have the cars to share around, if that's even a possibility in the first place, and nobody can afford to buy everything every week. It's all just testing the waters for what will inevitably be a horrible grind fest with every monetization trick in the book for the start of the next game. I don't really have any hope these days that Rockstar will prove me wrong on that. The last 11 years of covering this game, and the very fact they removed these cars in the first place 1 year ago, has got me to that place. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they remove more cars in the next DLC. I guess only time will tell, but I'll be here to keep you informed as always and make sure that you know the score with analysis such as this. This is equally true for GTA 5, with the new sheet that you've been seeing on this video now added to my cars master spreadsheet, which I'll link in the description, as it will be for GTA 6. Subscribe if you haven't already for that, and big thanks to Igor for helping me with this video by going back and collating some of the data I'd been collecting since this time last year. Thanks a lot for watching everyone, let me know all your thoughts down below, and I'll see you next time.